All right. Well, cool. Thanks so much for doing lunch therapy.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been a while. I feel like the last time I saw you was here in my apartment at my latke party many years ago.
Very crowded. Couldn't do that today.
Yeah, no,
Couldn't do that
we
nowadays.
have a small apartment and I made 300 latkes and we invited like 120 people and it was insane.
hmm It
Yeah.
was fun.
Yeah. I mean, it was funny. I think I did two. And the first one, I didn't put as many onions in the latkes. And the second one, I put a ton of onions in the latkes. And when I heated them up as people were arriving, I had tears streaming down my face. And
hmm
it was like a smoke bomb went off in here because it was so oniony and pungent.
What made you decide to put more onions in?
I just thought it would make it more rustic and a little bit more exciting. But next time I'll use less onions.
Okay.
Yeah. So Cole, I feel like since I've known you, like I've known you a while, but weirdly, like we became friends like 15 years ago when you and
Yeah,
Jeffrey were
maybe.
doing
Yeah.
a web series and
hmm
I was doing a Food Network web show and
Right.
you would come over and I would make you carrot cake and stuff.
Yeah.
And now life has, I mean, you're everywhere. I put anything on you. You're on TV, you're on Search Party, you're on Z-Way, you're doing so many things. How did this all happen?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been blessed with a career full of bit parts.
Well, you're beloved. I mean, everyone, I feel like you're one of the most like well-liked comedians out there. I mean, people hear your name like, oh my God, Cole's in this.
That's that's all I want is just for people to like me. So
Oh, good.
yeah, that's all that
Okay.
matters.
Let's talk about the subject at hand today, which is food,
Yeah,
because people know you as a performer, but they don't necessarily know your relationship with
me as a
food.
person who eats. Yeah,
Yes, exactly. And
yeah.
so, we're going to get into your lunch therapy in about 7 minutes. So you have some time to stall. But before we get to that,
Okay.
since I've known you, have you become more interested in cooking and food? Or is it something that is not that important to you?
I'm vegan. I think that's new since the last time. Or I
Mhm.
mean, maybe I was at your latke party, but I didn't let it be known.
Right. Yeah, you kept that very well
I
hidden.
kept it, but a latkes are vegan. No, there's egg, isn't
Yeah, there is
what?
egg. Yeah.
There's egg. Okay, okay.
Egg binds it. So maybe you
Yes.
broke your veganism without knowing it.
Maybe I didn't have them.
I'm sure you had one. How could you not?
Maybe I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I didn't.
Wow.
But
Well, then
maybe I wasn't vegan then. I don't remember.
I
Who
don't know. It's more
knows?
hurtful that you didn't or that you did have one and you don't even remember how good it
Right.
was.
Right. I think the truth is I probably didn't have one. I think I maybe ate some Oreos or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll
Yeah.
process that later on. But
Great. Well, I think that's something for you to process
probably. Yeah. I have my own lunch
more so than
therapist.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
talk to them later.
Yeah.
So cooking, do you cook a lot?
No, I don't like to cook because I don't like to clean.
Mm.
Um, and that is I think David Sedaris writes about like how his husband Hugh will like set the table and like light a candle for himself if he's eating alone, whereas David will use his finger if it means saving himself from washing, one fork or something. And I'm the same way. I don't want to, maybe a one pot thing, but
Mhm.
no cooking.
Well, it's so funny because we have a mutual love for musicals. And the
hmm
reason that I like doing dishes in my home, it's like my one opportunity to blast a musical because
hmm
Craig, my partner, is not as into musicals as I am. And he's very controlling about music. So he'll often play, 80s synth pop in the house and things like that.
Yeah,
And I tolerate it. But if I put on Follies or I put on anything,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like Fiddler on the Roof, he'd be like, why are you
sure.
playing this? So if I do the dishes, then I get to blast it. So therefore, like dishes are like a very positive like moment in my life.
But you couldn't just put headphones on and listen to them?
I just don't
You
find
like
myself.
music on without headphones. I love to wear my headphones all day.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, you're
yeah,
wearing them right now. People who
I'm
can't
wearing
see
them right
you.
now.
Yeah, wow.
And yeah. Mhm.
But I think for me, like listening to a musical, because like during the day I'm writing, I'm doing other work and other
Yeah.
things, and musicals can be like, they can take you in a way that like might be distracting from the other work I'm doing. Whereas doing dishes, I can give myself over to a musical and like really get absorbed in the story and get caught up in it.
When I do dishes, I do have to have something, whether usually a podcast or something, or I like to talk on the phone, and I love to talk on the phone while I'm doing chores. But dishes is hard because it's a little noisy, and I think the other party gets annoyed, or I've
Well,
been told that it's annoying by people.
when you play the music while you're doing dishes, you mean?
No. To that, I'm talking on the phone and I'm
sorry.
washing dishes, and they're like,
Yeah.
"What is all that banging around in that water?"
Gotcha. My brain wandered for a second because I have a theory I'm working out that the most successful people that I know really like talking on the phone.
Really?
Yes, that's true.
Wow.
Like I mean, you're one of them. And I have other friends, like my friend Ryan O'Connell. I have different friends who just are constantly on the phone, and I hate talking on the phone. And I feel like I would be much more successful if I talked on the phone more.
I think there's no one in your life that you talk to on the phone?
No, I hate it. I think one of the rudest things somebody could do to me is like call me on the phone.
I know that's I mean, a very popular point of view. I mean, especially with younger people too. Like,
well, I mean, I'm very young. I don't know.
Yeah, of course. Like, and cold calls, people act. I think it's now like considered bad manners if you don't text first to say, "Can you talk?" But I hate a text that says, "Can you talk?" Because then that just makes it so heavy. It's like, are you sitting down? You know what I mean? Like just call, leave a message.
Yeah.
I actually don't leave a message because I don't listen to voicemail, but I read the voicemail transcription.
Oh, wow.
And then it's fun to see because it's so bad at talk to text. So many words are wrong.
Yeah.
And it's fun to sort of decipher, like, what were they calling about?
It feels like the plot of a romantic comedy, like somebody misreads the text and it ends up going on a date with the wrong person.
I just watched You've Got Mail for the first time.
Oh.
And I didn't realize it's a bad movie.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's so funny because
so bad.
I just watched on Broadway HD, She Loves Me, which is the same plot. I mean, it's based on The Shop Around the Corner. And I feel like The Shop Around the Corner is so much better. It makes more sense because they work in the same place. And it's like they know each other, but don't know each other. And You've Got Mail, they're like not really in each other's lives. And it's kind of sentimental.
I was surprised. I guess I have this nostalgia for 90s rom-coms that I think like, that was a different era. Like things were just great then. But in reality, no, it's just we didn't have more choices. And so it was like, this is the rom-com this year.
Although that has one of my favorite food moments in a movie. I think when he takes the caviar.
Oh, yeah. That's a garnish.
Yeah, because I think it's very good in terms of defining his character, that like he at a party will take all of the good stuff for himself, which I thought was a good way to reveal character through food.
Absolutely. Wow, you should write a book about that.
Well, actually, it's the premise of this podcast, which we're about to get to now, because we're going to reveal your character through food by asking you.
But I mean, like there is a book like food in the movies, and what it reveals from a writing perspective.
Yeah.
Look, that you write it. I'll just thank me in the foreword.
No, I love that. Like eat your words or something. It was like the name of the book. Yeah. Okay, cool. We got to get to it. Now it's, we're ready for the moment. So what did you have for lunch today?
I just had a smoothie, and I don't even know if you can call it a salad. It was just lettuce.
Okay. And by the way, I'm a neutral party as a lunch therapist. There's no judgment.
Okay.
But what I try to do in these sessions is to hear beneath the language, like to look under the hood of your lunch and see what you revealed. And already in your depiction of your lunch, there was something almost dismissive and like sort of half-hearted or almost apologetic about
Yeah.
your description of your lunch. And I'm curious about
Yeah.
that. Can you tell me more?
Well, I just would never frame it as a lunch.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something I ate at 2.
Okay. And
Mhm.
is that how you mostly view food in your life? Is it something that you just
No,
kind of grab?
not dinner. Dinner is the only meal as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so I should do
Yeah.
another podcast for
Yeah.
dinner therapy. Okay, well,
Yeah.
next time around. But what was in your smoothie?
It was 3 scoops of vegan vanilla protein powder.
Wow.
Um yeah. Um coconut water, um wheatgrass powder, elderberry powder, some mushroom powder, um maca root powder, uh some mixed greens, um ginger, um a little bit of orange juice, ice, and that's it.
So there were a lot of powders in your smoothie. Did you make the
Yes.
smoothie yourself, or did you go somewhere
Yes,
and get the
I
smoothie?
made the smoothie. Yeah.
So
I have a
immediately,
Vitamix.
oh wow, that's nice.
Mhm.
You really
Yeah,
are on top. It's all because you talk on the
I
phone with
am.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, did these powders, like, I feel like there's a lot of thought probably, or like calculation about what these powders do for you and why you're imbibing them. And I'm
Yeah.
curious if you can explain a little bit about each powder and why you're drinking it.
Yeah. It's sort of based on like sentences I will sort of half read online, or just words taken from article headlines. Like
Mm-hmm.
um I know that mushrooms are supposed to be good for you.
Mm-hmm.
um they're having a big moment right now. Adaptogens. I have acid reflux,
I do
and
too. Yeah.
so yeah. So, and I take or I until a few days ago I was taking a proton pump inhibitor, a
Wow. Okay.
PPI,
Yeah, I was on that.
Prilosec. Yeah.
Prilosec, I was on that, but you can't be on that for a very long time.
Yeah, and also they recalled Zantac because it
Mhm.
was like giving people cancer.
Yeah.
Um so I'm really about like gut health right now.
Well, you know what cured my acid reflux, which is
What?
relevant to this podcast? Lexapro.
Really?
Yeah, I went on Lexapro for anxiety, and
Yeah.
it didn't seem completely related, but I have a lot of anxiety, and it
Anxiety absolutely, it's not just it's not fake science. Like if I'm feeling anxious or stressed, my
Mhm,
acid reflux, like I feel it in my throat. And if I just take a few deep breaths, then
mhm.
I feel it even relieve, maybe just a little bit, but still that
Yeah,
helps.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
it speaks to because people think of antidepressants or anti-anxiety pills as sort of, like, I mean, people who are not open to the idea of mental
Yeah.
wellness can be judgmental about it. But to me, like, that linkage between like my body health and my mental
Hmm.
health was so clear with acid reflux. It was like, wow, that completely went away and I feel
Yeah,
physically better. So I'm just saying you should put some Lexapro in your smoothie.
I will. Some
Okay.
Lexapro powder.
Yeah. So,
Um,
now you had 3 scoops of vanilla protein powder. So is that
yeah.
for fitness? Are you trying to build muscle?
It's fitness, and I just don't want to be hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just like until dinner, I don't want to think about food. I don't want to, it's just something that's in my way. So as much as I can put like in my body to keep me not hungry until dinner,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah.
And so when you're working or you're acting and things, is that true too? I mean, are you just trying to get through the day uh, by like just putting in your body whatever you can to get through the job, or do you
Yeah.
eat differently when you're on set?
Um I mean, I can't make a smoothie on set, but I will order one, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And is the smoothie like 2 o'clock? Was that the first meal you had today, or the first food that you had today?
I had a protein bar this morning at like 9.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of protein. There's a lot of protein bars, powders, and not to really belabor the subject, but what were the other powders? Mushrooms, protein, and then some other stuff in there.
Maca root, which is like for like muscle, I don't know, health.
Okay.
And also like testosterone. What else? Oh, elderberry extract.
What does that do?
That is like antioxidants. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm almost getting the image of like a witch at a cauldron, except your cauldron is your Vitamix, and like you're just like stirring like toil, trouble and boil, whatever that is. Yeah. So
but I'm sure that what like I'm sure none of it actually is doing the things that I'm hoping that they will do, but it feels nice to try,
Well, it's funny because I struggle here living in LA with, in terms of like eating whatever I want to, and then being out in the world where people are like getting, all kinds of work done and doing all kinds of body stuff. And, and so I often, consider like, what if I did just that? Like, what if and actually when I'm trying to be healthy, I go to the gym and I get a smoothie for lunch. So again, no judgment on the fact that you've had a smoothie for lunch, but mine is too delicious. Like the one I get at the gym is like blueberries, hemp milk, almond paste, or almond butter. Almond butter. Yeah, not almond paste. That would be really good though. And ice. So it's just like, a little bit sweeter.
PB&J.
Yeah, that's what it tastes like.
Yeah.
So with these dinners, now usually I end the podcast by asking about dinner, but we'll go into it now because it sounds like dinner is what you're really like driving towards food wise. So tell me about your dinners. Like, what is a Cole Escola dinner?
Well, I will sometimes cook. There's a point in the day where it's like I'm too hungry to cook, so I will order. And sometimes I push myself past that point on purpose, so that I can order, even though no one's stopping me except for me. But if I cook, it's just gonna be quinoa and lentils and some sauce from a jar, like anything, curry, pasta sauce, salsa. I've been known to, put salsa and some quinoa and lentils.
So I'm getting a real sense in all of this that there's a focus on health and wellness. And I'm curious if that has that always been true of you, or is that a more recent development?
It's I don't know. I guess it's always been true. I guess I've always, even when I was a kid, I was I loved Oprah. Anything she was peddling, I bought into. And it's all fear-based, like I remember on Oprah, she did this episode, I think it was Oprah, about like what can be on the top of your like can of soda, like if you don't clean it. And so now anytime I have a can of soda, I wash that top.
Really?
Yeah.
All because of Oprah.
All because of Oprah.
So are you neuroses, a hypochondriac in general? Do you have a fear of disease?
Yes. Yes.
So go ahead.
Yeah, but it doesn't make any, it's not logical. Like if I'm just not in the mood to care, then I'll decide like it's not a threat.
I see. So it's just like you're whimsical about your hypochondria.
Yeah, it's about whatever mental state I'm in.
So was the pandemic particularly hard for you? Did you feel particularly exposed or nervous about what was going to happen?
I felt like I was very diligent in the beginning, like sanitizing every grocery item that I brought in, and in that way, like it was a fun activity, it was something something to focus on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you could still do it. You can sanitize grocery
I guess
items.
I really could. Yeah.
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 But it's funny that because like I'm thinking about this aspect of your personality compared to like your public persona. Because I
Mhm.
think of images of you like covered in like chocolate or just like being gross
Sure.
and dirty. And so do you feel like those two instincts are at war within yourself, or you think that that's just part of the fun of the performance is that you get to play with this other side of yourself?
Um, I guess I've never thought about it. Like, yeah, it really makes no sense what I'm concerned about and what I'm not concerned about. You
Mhm.
know, like if I order food, I don't care what's in it. Like,
Uh-huh.
there's no rhyme or reason to like what I don't ask, I don't look to make sure like, oh, is this non-GMO organic? But if I'm buying something from the grocery store, then I'm looking for that stuff.
I see.
So it makes no sense.
So you have scruples, but sometimes like, or you have like your own rules for yourself, but then sometimes the rules just go out the window depending on your mood.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh, but I'm curious, like in all this, like I don't get a sense yet of like what do you love to eat? Like what gets you excited to eat?
Nachos.
Okay,
Um,
that's a good one.
that's really if I had to eat, I think most days what I want is nachos.
Really? And do you have like a
Yeah.
favorite nacho spot in New York City? Like, do you go out for nachos?
I usually order from this vegan Mexican place here called Ha Ha Ha. Um, and their nachos are good. They're not great, but they're very good.
Well,
My favorite
vegan, yeah.
nachos are the vegan nachos that my friend Amanda Duarte
Uh,
makes. Um, but it's been a while since we've had them.
So vegan nachos, I'm just trying to imagine you don't have cheese, a traditional cheese, but you would have like
Right.
what, like cashew cheese or some other kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, like cashew crema. And Amanda Duarte makes really good cashew crema and like a lentil walnut taco meat.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how old were you, or how long ago I should say were you when you became vegan?
Um, I guess maybe it's 5 years, 5 or 6 years now. Yeah.
And what was the driving force behind it?
I got a Vitamix and
Wow, it all
then
comes back to
yeah,
the Vitamix.
it
Okay.
all comes back to I got a Vitamix and then I was only really eating smoothies because I was excited to have it. Not just smoothies, like um vegan ice cream with just frozen bananas and some vanilla extract or soups.
Yeah.
And I never have liked cooking meat. So I just sort of slowly became vegan and then made the decision to stick with it.
Well, based on what you said so far, I can't tell if your decision was based on like principles about meat or more just because you felt lazy about food and you just wanted to have one
A
tool to
little
throw
both.
everything into.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little of both. And also but I was gonna say I go off of it when I travel,
Oh,
like
good.
across, like not out, my rule is like if I go outside of the country, then you know then I eat vegetarian.
That resonates for me because I think part of the reason I never became vegan or vegetarian is that I really love going out for cuisines that I've never experienced before.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to be able to have to like limit myself to
Yeah.
just vegetables and vegan
Yeah.
food.
I
So,
don't like I still don't like meat, so I don't eat that. Like I went to Europe for the first time a few years ago when I was vegan and I was like I'll eat everything and meat just grossed me out. So now I just eat vegetarian.
and what about poultry or fish?
No. Oh, I hate seafood. I've always hated
Hmm.
seafood. Anything from the ocean. It all smells and tastes the same to me.
Wow. So now you grew up in Oregon, right?
Oregon. Yeah.
And so did you grow up near the water or was it like more
Yeah,
inland?
very near the water. And yeah, I think I was maybe 4 when I said no more fish.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So it was just omnipresent there. And
It was just, I was just sick of it. I was like, this tastes the same.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because I just watched the Top Chef episode because they're doing Portland this year, and they were doing restaurant wars, and one of the restaurants was doing an all fish menu because they were in Oregon. Yeah, you would not have liked that.
Disgusting. I went to a fancy tasting menu place. The Modern.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
in the MoMA.
Yeah. And I was like, my roommate's best friend was going, and someone canceled last minute, and so she invited me, but it was like for their birthday, so they were paying.
Wow.
So I was like, sure, absolutely. And it was embarrassing because I didn't have a jacket, and so they had to like give me one. You know what I mean?
God, that's
Lend
hilarious.
me a jacket.
That's so old fashioned. Give me a break.
I know.
Yeah.
It's so like 90s to be like, oh, we'll provide a jacket for you.
Yeah, ridiculous.
But I remember there was a fish course, and I stuck it in my mouth and swallowed it like a pill.
Really?
Yeah.
And did you get sick afterwards?
No, it was so small,
Yeah.
those kind like tiny little, it was like a cube of some sort of fish. And yeah, that was the last time I ate seafood.
Yeah. Do you think your distaste for seafood is psychological, like in terms of like the associations that you have? Yeah, that's true. But it's funny because I have friends like who like my friend Jonathan hates mushrooms. He's like, oh, I hate mushrooms. I hate them.
Yeah.
But he's a vegan or he's a vegetarian. So whenever I cook for him, I'm kind of annoyed. I'm like, come on, like mushrooms are a major category for a vegetarian.
Well, he eat like if it's like pureed, is it like the taste, or is it
just like he's like I don't eat mushrooms? It's just like I don't eat them, and I kind of want to like help him get over that for my sake because I cook for him all the time.
Right.
And it's just like I could make like mushroom bolognese. I can make mushroom like chicken fried steak. I mean, I could just do a lot with mushrooms. So with you, it's like I don't think it's as important because it's easy not to make you seafood. But I'm just curious, when you think about your dislike of seafood, do you have associations like beyond just the idea that it tastes bad? Like, did you go on a fishing trip once and heave over the side of the boat?
No, I mean, I hate my father, and he was a fisherman. I mean,
this is lunch therapy. This is what
sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. But like, I don't know. But now since I've decided I hate it, it's just, there's no turning back for me.
Well, not to push too much on it, but you hated your father. He was a fisherman.
Yeah.
So did it annoy him that you didn't eat fish?
I think that was not the top of the list of the things that I did that annoyed him.
Not
the parts of me that, yeah.
But one has to think that there's a real connection.
Probably.
There. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
So if I was your real lunch therapist, I would slowly feed you fish while you were in a bib and in a high chair, and we would work through this. Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's lunch therapy.
That's what you learned in school. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's how I was trained through that method.
Okay.
So are there other foods that you dislike as much as fish?
Broccoli stems.
That's so specific.
I hate this. I love broccoli. Like I will cut the what are they? Florets? The florets the bushy part. The bushy part. I'll cut that off and cut as much of the stem off as possible.
Okay. Really? And why do you think you hate the stems so much?
They just taste like watery and rubbery. It's just like the lack of taste is disgusting to me. I feel the same way about cauliflower.
Really? All cauliflower?
Yeah.
What if it's roasted? What if it's deep fried?
Roasted is fine. Deep fried is fine. But like steamed.
Yeah, that's bad.
Ugh, that's bad. It's just like, yeah.
But the wateriness of it all, like Craig likes bok choy because of its wateriness. Do you like bok choy?
I like bok choy because it's like bitter, and I like that it has like a taste, and it's watery. But I don't, and like I love watercress.
Oh yeah, you
like
you
that's
like
a
bitter
fun
things.
Texture.
But bitter. Yeah.
Bitter. Yeah, but I don't. But broccoli stems. There's something. It's like eating wet wood or something.
I mean, how often are you in a situation where you're served broccoli stems?
Well, I just don't like. I won't even eat the stems. Like I'll cut the florets off the broccoli
Oh, wow.
and leave the stems behind. Yeah,
Huh. This sounds
yeah.
also very significant
I mean,
somehow.
if I don't know the person who's serving or making the food or the people that I'm eating with, I just won't touch the broccoli at all because I don't want to be like, you know,
Hmm.
I'll just say I don't like broccoli. But the
Well,
truth is, I like broccoli florets. I
yeah.
just don't like the stems.
Well,
Yeah.
now we're getting to some other part of your psychology, which is the putting the fish in your mouth and swallowing the whole thing quickly and like
Yeah.
pretending you don't like broccoli. So like in terms of pleasing other people and not wanting
Yeah.
to disappoint anyone, has that always been true of you?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, it's a part of being a
Yeah.
performer, like that you want to
Yeah.
make your audience happy.
Yeah. Being gay, being a performer. Yeah.
But your performing is also like it does both. Like you please an audience, but you also challenge an audience. I mean, you'll
Do
do
I?
you will, of course. I mean, that's what makes it
Uh-huh.
so funny. I mean, you'll do things that are shocking, you'll do things that are might be slightly disturbing. So I mean, it
Hmm.
seems like you're almost playing with the audience's expectations of being soothed. Or maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, sure. No. That makes sense. It's like yeah, that's the only time where I get to be or I feel comfortable being antagonistic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, I mean, I know that you work with Amy Sedaris on her show, and
Yeah.
she sort of has that same vibe where it's like she makes you she's like sweet and bubbly and fun, but
Yeah.
then it's really there's something really dark there, and really like she's
Oh
kind of
yeah.
twisting the knife too,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. One time in the writer's room, I had a big bowl of popcorn on my lap and she got up and she just flipped it all over me. It was the funniest thing, like completely out of nowhere.
That's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, it was uh one of the funniest things that I still think about.
Well,
It
I
was
have
so
to ask,
shocking. Yeah.
just as a fan person of both you and Amy, how did you both meet, and how did that relationship start?
We met on Difficult People. She was on an episode. She officiated or she played a character that officiated my character's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did a podcast called Crybabies together.
Oh
Like
yeah,
it was a live sort of podcast. So we hung out for a bit in the green room and then she and Paul Danello wrote this part for me on her show.
mm-hmm.
And then yeah. And then I was on the first season and then I joined the writer's room in the second and third season.
That's so fun. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
tangent from your therapy session, but I had to ask about that
Oh,
because
of course. Yeah.
and
I mean,
have you?
she's a hero. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when she used to sell cupcakes at
Mhm.
Joe, the coffee shop on Waverly, and it
Yeah.
was still when it was just like 15 or 20 years ago when I lived in New York, where like she was still fringe enough that she would come in every day. I mean, it was just like she wasn't
Yeah.
a major celebrity, and I think at that time, so she would just come in with these weird cupcakes with like ballerinas on the top, and
Yeah.
she would
Yeah.
just put them in the case there. But have you ever been over her place for dinner?
Um, not for dinner. She doesn't really like to she talks about this. Like she doesn't like to enter like after the books came out, she sort of stopped entertaining because,
Right.
then people were expecting her to.
Yeah.
Um, but I've been to her place for like a few little parties where she'll have, snacks and
Mm-hmm.
things. Um, but no, she's never cooked me like a vegan meal before.
I was just curious.
I think she would hate that.
Really? Because it was
Yeah.
vegan?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Right.
I and now and which makes me wish that she would.
Maybe she will. Maybe she'll be
Maybe
listening
she
to
will.
this and she'll
Yeah.
know to do it. So
Yeah.
back to you though, and I want to go back to the health of it all because
Hmm.
I want to hear a little bit more about the food that you ate in your childhood growing up. Like, were you eating that kind of food as a kid too? And what kind of food was your family eating?
No, it was like, Hot Pockets and Rice-A-Roni and
Right.
yeah, top ramen.
Mm-hmm.
My mom would cook like mm, she would get like a bunch of hamburger meat and you know make that last the week. That would be like spaghetti, hamburger gravy, um
Mm.
tacos. Yeah, my
And
favorite thing that I make now is the vegan hamburger gravy. That's my favorite recipe that I've yeah
how
that
do you
I've
make
made.
that?
It's lentils and walnuts and a lot of mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And then a bunch of like there's tomato paste, nutritional yeast, soy sauce, or I use coconut aminos instead of soy
Mm-hmm.
sauce, vegetable broth, um, flour,
Mm-hmm.
what else? Onions. Yeah.
And do you think that you enjoy that because it reminds you of childhood and like
Yes.
the dish
Yeah.
that you ate growing up? Yeah.
And it's also just like a really good recipe. Like it tastes really good.
It's funny how that works because my mom, when I was growing up, used to buy me these rainbow cookies, like red, yellow, and green, or red, white, and green cookies that you see in the bakeries. Like, it has
Like
like,
the Italian.
yeah,
Yeah. I love those.
I love those too. But I never realized that like their flavor is almond paste. So I didn't realize like that's how you make them. And so anytime I have a dessert that has like almond paste in it, and it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be that, it's like this pure nostalgic feeling of like, oh, like I'm a
Like
kid.
marzipan.
Yeah, not marzipan because almond paste is a little different texturally, but like there's
Okay.
an almond cake that I make a lot. Maybe I made it for you once long ago, but it's almond paste, sour cream, egg yolks, and then to me it just tastes like a rainbow cookie, and it's
Yeah.
delicious.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny. So, in terms of your food journey, so you grew up eating a lot of like Hamburger Helper and
Yeah.
ramen, and now you're in this place where you're eating a lot of like lentils and smoothies. So,
Yeah.
did you go through other phases, or was it a pure progression from A to B?
It was just like A to B. Yeah. Like I haven't like evolved much since. Yeah.
So in terms of like being a vegan, I'm curious about the part of you that's a people pleaser, because being a vegan, of course, like going to people's homes, because you talked about traveling like in Europe and stuff is one thing, but like being invited to someone's house for dinner. I mean, do you make a point of saying I'm vegan?
Oh yeah.
And
always, like way before, because no one wants to host a dinner and then find out like someone was like quietly a vegan but didn't tell you.
right.
Not, like yeah, people want to like help, or they want to be like, well, eat before you come and just come for drinks afterwards, whatever,
Right. But have you found yourself in a situation where you must eat, or like someone presents you with something that you can't eat?
No.
Oh, that's good.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Or maybe I mean, I guess if and when that happens, I just eat afterwards. Yeah.
So in terms of the pandemic of it all, like before quarantine and having to be home all the time, were you eating out a lot, or did you mostly stay in anyway?
I always ordered in. Yeah. Yeah. I don't really. Yeah.
Do you remember you and I once went to a fried chicken restaurant in Brooklyn called Pies and Thighs?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That was before you were vegan, but
that was way before I was. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
or
a
not
field
way,
trip.
but yeah. Yeah. I love Pies and Thighs.
Yeah. So I guess I was going to ask, like, are there foods that you miss from your non-vegan days?
The only foods that I miss, there's not really foods I miss. I miss like not, I miss not having to think about it. I miss being able to just like see something and be like, oh, I want that. I'll eat that. I mean, I could still do that, but the only food that I miss is maybe like eggs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why vegan and not vegetarian?
I'm afraid of dairy.
Afraid of?
Yeah, afraid of it.
What are you afraid of?
Hormones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I get the sense this goes back to the witchiness of it all, and like the powders and the protein stuff. There's almost like a superstition around the food that you're eating and what it's doing to your body. And even when you talked about the powders and what they were doing for you, and this does this and this does that, it's like, I guess I'm curious about the relationship you have to your body. Like, are you somebody that's very mindful of how food and different substances, I suppose, like make your body feel? Are you very connected to your body in that way?
No, not at all. But I am, I mean, only recently in the last few weeks since going off like, or wanting and trying to go off proton pump inhibitors for my acid reflux. Like I really have had to pay attention to like what certain foods do and like when like
Mm-hmm.
my favorite thing to do is to eat right before bed and to go to like bed extremely full,
Yeah, you can't do
and
that.
then yeah, you can't do that.
No.
It'll just you'll wake up with like bile in your throat in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So yeah, but so now I'm sort of having to pay attention for those reasons.
Do you
Yeah.
exercise?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your how do I mean, do you work out a lot? I mean, like, what's your
I
routine?
I go to the gym I 3 times a week.
Okay.
Yeah. I see a trainer.
Wow. Oh my
Yeah.
God. You're
Yeah.
you're living the high life.
I am. I am. Well, I'm not going to have kids,
Oh.
so I can spend all that money on
Oh,
myself.
sorry. I was trying to like think of the connection, but now that
Oh, the
makes sense.
connection is
Yeah,
money. Yeah. Yeah.
money. Got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But okay, so like with these protein powders, these things, and then going to the gym 3 times a week with the trainer. So there is like some
hmm
kind of like conscientiousness about wanting to stay fit, or is it more just about just being healthy?
It's more of a superstition. Like I
Yeah.
think superstitious is the best word. Like I'm superstitious about um not being healthy.
Right. So is there a fear of death?
Yes. Yeah. I don't want to die.
Yeah. But is it, do you feel like you
That's
feel
it.
that, but do you feel that more, you think, than the average person? Like, are you more afraid of dying than, because it seems like the superstitiousness of like longevity or these things like being connected to like healthfulness
Yeah.
feels like it's on your mind in a way that might not be true of people who like me who are eating like cake for breakfast and pizza
hmm
for lunch and, fried chicken for dinner.
Yeah. I guess I mean I think about death a lot. Yeah.
Hmm.
I
Have
don't
you
want and I don't
have
want to.
but have you always been that way? Have you, I mean, were you like
Yes. Yeah.
Harold and Maude, like that kind of kid?
Yeah, I would I remember when I was like in first or second grade, maybe it was third, it doesn't matter, but I moved my bed equidistant between my window and the door, the bedroom door, because I was like, that way if the killer comes in the window, I have just as much opportunity, the same amount of opportunity to get to the door as if the killer comes in the door, I can get out the window.
Oh my God, no wonder you have acid reflux. That's
Yeah.
that's very stressful.
Yeah. I've had acid reflux since I was 12.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
anxiety related personally. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a real doctor. I should confess here, but
Yeah.
just hearing you talk about that story alone,
Yeah.
yeah, makes me wonder. So even
I mean, I'm in therapy.
good. I
Yeah.
mean, this is probably better than
And
your
this is, yeah,
yeah.
1,000%. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. That's a blurb. I'm
Yeah.
going to use that. I hope you don't mind.
Great.
But I was going to ask with the like that specific anxiety of someone breaking into your apartment or home. Do you still
Mhm.
feel that today? Like, do you get anxious about like a noise in the hallway or like a rattling in the
Yes.
alleyway or something? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess now it's more insidious. It's like, oh, I didn't I recently got a candle in a gift basket.
Uh huh.
And I put it in my bathroom and I had it, I lit it, and I remember I was almost asleep, and then I woke up thinking like, I never checked if that was like a soy candle. What if I'm breathing in smoke, like terrible, terrible toxins and fumes? Like,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
So
So things
everything
like that.
everything is potentially hazardous and potentially
Yes.
like death causing.
But only if I'm in the mood to look for it.
So do you drink coffee? Like, do you drink things like
Yes.
that? Like, okay. And does that,
Like,
yeah.
yeah. Ideally I would not drink coffee. But
Right, because it has
yeah.
carcinogens or like whatever the
Yeah.
things are.
Yeah.
So there are limits to like the way that superstition will impact what you put into your body.
Right. Right. Like I mean, coffee is different because I know that I want it to be out of my life.
Hmm.
And that I think it's bad for me. But there are other things that I like, I just don't care.
Hmm.
Or I somehow rationalize.
Like what?
Um like living in New York. Um yeah,
But what about
like
like
that's
I guess I was wondering like a cupcake or like a cookie or like a like chocolate bar or like
Well,
M&Ms?
sugar is pretty bad for my reflux,
Oh wow.
unfortunately.
So no dessert.
Dessert is my favorite thing. Sweets, like I could eat sweet. Like if I had my way, if I wasn't afraid of anything, I would eat, um, pastries and sweets all day. Have a little savory dinner and then more dessert. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm someone who likes to have dessert after every meal, but I stopped eating sugar, like refined sugar, and it has really improved my acid reflux.
Wow, it all comes back to acid reflux. But maybe if you went on Lexapro, you could eat all
I
these
well, I
things.
was on
Oh,
Lexapro
you were
in high
okay. Good.
school. Yeah,
Oh, I
it
mean,
didn't work out.
just didn't it didn't take for
It
you?
didn't do anything. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, because it was funny
yeah.
when you were describing like being afraid. There's an
Hmm.
alley behind our apartment, and whenever we park the car at night and we get out of the car and like we're just walking to our door, before I was on Lexapro, I was convinced like we were about to somebody was going to jump out of the bushes and stab us
Yeah,
to death. Like that was the overall feeling. Like I just felt
yeah,
that way, and that was the thing that made me realize that I just had deep-seated anxiety was when I went on Lexapro and we parked the
yeah.
car. I didn't feel that way at all. I may as well have been like in like the Wizard of Oz. I was just like happy, like
Wow.
yeah. I was just like, oh,
Yeah,
this is a nice little alleyway, and like
yeah,
look at the
yeah,
bougainvillea. Like I just
yeah,
didn't like feel that. So that just taught me that this like baseline anxiety was just like within me.
yeah.
Um, but I was curious with some of the stuff you were saying. And by the way, you've been a great sport this whole time. I'm really like putting you on the table and like flaying you open here. So thank you.
It's fine. I'm sorry I'm so boring, but it's not fun to talk about neuroses. I mean, it's not funny,
No, I don't
you
think you're
know.
boring. I think it's
Oh,
interesting.
stop. Thanks.
I mean, it's a little boring, but no, I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, but I was gonna say like what was I just about to say? Something about what were we just talking about? Oh, fears, safety,
Sweets.
sweets. Oh, discipline. That's what I was gonna ask you about. Self-discipline, because
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot that you're giving up here. Like you're giving up your favorite thing is sweets. Like you're giving up
Mm-hmm.
sugar. You're giving up like eating right before bed. You're giving up, and so are you as disciplined in other areas of your life too?
It's really like it doesn't feel like discipline yet. It's really like now that I've noticed it, I can't unnotice it.
Mm-hmm.
And so like a couple nights ago I had a big thing of nachos before bed, and I yeah, it ruined my sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I felt tired and gross the next day, and it was just like, well, I don't want to do that again.
But even in terms of like, I guess I'm asking like with like your comedy or if you have a show coming up, like, are you
Yeah.
like up at the crack of dawn, like working out jokes and like rehearsing and rehearsing? I mean, is that
It
your,
depends on like if I have a project that I'm working on. Like I a couple weeks ago I started, or yeah, a couple weeks ago I started working on this play, and so now I'll wake up. Um, I've been waking up at like 5:45
wow, that's
um
so early.
to go to this workspace, this like um it's not WeWork, but it's like a WeWork type of
Mm-hmm.
thing, a co-working space. And yeah, it really like, but I wish I could say like, yeah, it just makes me feel good to have, but it's really to avoid the like, before that for like a few months I was waking up at 11,
Mm-hmm.
and then feeling horrible for not, like I would wake up at 11 and be like, oh, it's too late for me to start anything, this day's ruined, like yeah,
So,
so
well, it makes
yeah,
you think of like things going out the window, like that idea that like
yeah,
I'm a vegan until I'm not, or like
yeah,
I watch it. So it's like sometimes you're very disciplined, but sometimes it's just like impulse takes over. And
yes,
yeah.
yeah. And so I in order to curb the negative um uh, effects of my brain being alive,
Uh-huh.
I have to like wake up early and set some time aside and like set some mini goals,
Mm-hmm.
And so if I meet those, then I'm done by 11 a.m. and
And
then
then,
I have the rest of my day.
so what do you do with the rest of your day?
I go to the gym 3 times a week. I call friends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I do chores.
Uh-huh.
I volunteer. Just kidding.
Really?
I don't.
No,
No,
you
no,
don't do
no.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know
um,
what I do with my days.
do you watch like a lot of TV, or are you mostly out in the world?
Neither.
Oh, then where are you?
Neither. I don't know. I really don't know.
You're just in some
On my
nether.
phone?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, yeah. A lot of us are on
maybe.
our
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I was curious, like, about. I was just thinking about you saying this was boring because like neuroses aren't fun or
Yeah.
funny, but like, aren't neuroses funny? Like, aren't so many comedians like? Don't they mostly talk about their neuroses? Like, I just thought it was interesting
Yeah.
that
It's not me, but like, but yeah, that's not where my interests lie, in my own neuroses.
uh-huh. You,
You
you
know,
don't find your own neuroses funny,
amusing. No,
right? It's just
I
like,
think they're annoying. Yeah.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's the opposite. I mean, I'm Jewish, so it feels like my neuroses are a defining characteristic of me, and that's
Sure.
sort of part of like my heritage in a way.
Sure. Sure.
But I guess like coming from like Oregon,
A
I don't know.
Lutheran background.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lutheran. It's like it's shameful to have neuroses.
Right. Right. It's just something I have to deal with,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
a
Well, I mean,
quiet battle.
yeah. Well, it was kind
Yeah.
of you to like share them with us because it sounds
Oh,
like,
of course. Yeah.
yeah. Well, we're nearing the end. We're not quite there yet. We're almost at the
Okay.
end. So yeah, you're off the hook soon. But every podcast begins with what did you have for lunch, and it ends with what will you be having for dinner this evening?
I think this evening I'll be seeing my boyfriend, so which usually means like ordering in. It's also like almost 90 degrees today in New
Wow.
York.
It just happens so fast. It goes from
It
like
really, yeah,
winter to summer. Yeah.
yeah. And so I don't think there will be any burners or ovens turned on
Mm.
right now. Yeah.
How long have you been with your boyfriend?
It'll be 2 years in August. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like
Yeah.
you buried the lead here. I mean, that would we could have talked all about that for an hour. No.
I mean, there again, it's boring,
Well, I want to hear though, like in the relationship, like between the two of you, is one
Yeah.
of you more of the cook?
Um, I think he's a better cook than I am,
Mm-hmm.
but I tend to cook more often for us.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. So
Yeah.
he doesn't step up in the same
Well,
way.
because he has roommates, and so often he'll come over here, or most times he'll come over here. And so if he's coming over here, it's just easier to like make dinner and have it ready for when he
Mm-hmm.
gets here.
So is he also a vegan?
Yes. Yeah. But he wasn't when we met.
Oh, wow. That's it. So he became a vegan
Yes.
as part of the relationship journey.
It was I gave him an ultimatum.
Did you really?
No. It's not. Yeah, I don't care. Yeah.
Well, but it's hard to be in a couple where you're eating different with different rules and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's sweet. So do you guys go out to restaurants together and order vegan food together?
We yeah. I mean, it's been a while since we've been out to a restaurant.
Right.
But I think the last time we went together was to ABCV.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
That's probably my favorite vegan restaurant in New York, but I haven't been to Avant Garden, which is Alicia Silverstone's favorite vegan restaurant.
Oh my God. My main Alicia Silverstone food knowledge is that she chewed up her food and spat it into her children's mouths like a bird.
Oh,
Did you not know that?
I didn't know that.
That was like a thing on the internet, like that she like did an interview where she talked about chewing her kids' food for them and spitting it into their mouths.
Cave people probably did that.
Yeah.
Because how else would they have, mashed it up? They wouldn't have like dirtied a mortar and pestle just to like
Oh, right. They
feed some
just,
brats, you know.
yeah, maybe I should do like a
Yeah.
dinner party, like a caveman style dinner party where we all just
Bring your
shoot up,
kids.
make a pesto. I'll just put basil on the table and
Oh,
raw garlic. Okay, that's gross.
it's
Well,
not.
yeah, Cole, we're not at the end yet. I'm going to keep you 5 more minutes, but I want to make sure that we covered all the ground that we could
I
have
appreciate
covered.
you giving me a time count.
Yeah, well, I want you to
Yeah,
know, like that, that like we're going to get the full mileage out of you in
sure,
this lunch therapy
sure.
session. So we covered like healthfulness, we covered superstition, we covered your childhood, Hamburger Helper, we covered your father being a fisherman, very
Mhm.
significant to me in terms of my perception of your therapy. We
Yeah.
covered your boyfriend and your relationship. Is there anything we didn't cover in terms of food?
Um. Uh. Um. Last, like, sort of last meal type of scenarios, like um my like favorite childhood memory of food is KFC.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
So is that what you would really want as your last meal?
I think I ate it once in my 20s and I was like, "Oh, this isn't how I rembered it." So I don't know if I would want, if I was about to die, I wouldn't want to risk being disappointed,
Hmm.
you know. Um
But what
so
about
I'd
like a
probably
good
go with, yeah.
a good version of that though? Like you can get like pies and thighs version of that.
But it's not the same. It's like whatever chemicals were used in the late 90s to make that quote unquote chicken. Um, maybe they're like, out of, you know, maybe they were recalled or like whatever.
Hmm.
Who
So,
knows?
so
Yeah.
what you're about to say like what it would be now though.
I think it would be the closest version to that, which is like the Peace Food Cafe chicken unchicken strips.
Peace Food Cafe. Where's that?
There's one or by Union Square. It's on 11th Street, and
Hmm.
then there's one on the Upper West Side.
Got it. Have you
Yeah,
ever had to do something like in one of the things you've acted in where you have to like eat on camera or like do something with
yeah,
food? And
yeah.
how has that been for you? I mean, have you ever had to do something like where you got like sick of it by like the 10th take?
No, I like in Search Party, I had to eat, or I didn't even have to eat, but they put pancakes, and it's like this the joke of like, don't eat in one take because then you'll have to do it in every take, and I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna come hungry, and I am gonna eat in every take, and I did. They made some delicious vegan blueberry pancakes.
Mm.
Um, I ate them every take, and I had a lovely time.
Wow, that's a good strategy
There's
to
no, yeah,
get a good
yeah,
meal out of it. That
I
was,
did.
yeah, that performance, by the way, was fantastic. I mean,
Oh,
I thought that
thanks,
was, it was disturbing. I mean, I think you got to these levels of hilarious
thanks,
and upsetting at the same time that,
thank you.
but did you, I'm curious in terms of the character, like, did that get to you? Like, did you stay in character? Were you like that on set or?
I think honestly, Alia had to do most of the work, like to play someone who's like disturbed but doesn't feel disturbed. That's not very difficult,
Mhm.
like um I just had to say crazy things,
Right,
and not really like be affected by them. So that's
right.
actually pretty easy. Whereas like reacting horrified, cowering in a corner, fearing for your life, like that's the
Yeah.
harder work. Yeah.
Yeah, I think her reaction like spoke to the terror, how terrifying
Oh
your
yeah.
character was. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Without her, it wouldn't have been that. I would have just been like some just like slightly weird person.
Well,
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved watching it.
Thanks.
Well, Cole, thank you so much for doing this lunch therapy
Of
session.
course. Thank you so much. And I have health insurance, so I think this should be
Oh,
covered.
oh yeah, that'd be great. I'll get
Yeah.
that after we hang up.
Okay,
And
okay.
next time you're in LA, I will make you the most delicious protein powder smoothie you've ever had.
Oh, you're too sweet. I would much rather you go all out and make some delicious vegan dinner
Okay,
and
I'll do
really
that.
and really like challenge yourself.
Oh, okay. I will.
Yeah,
I will challenge myself. And so
great.
next time you're here, send me a text.
I
Let's
will.
do it.
I
All
will.
right.
All right. Thanks, Adam.
Cole. Bye.
Bye.